Joining us for more perspective on this new surge of protests in the Middle East and what it means for the United States is Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. He is the author of the book, A Battle for the Soul of Islam, an American Muslim patriot's fight to save his faith. Dr. Jasser, thanks so much for coming in and talking to us. What do you make of all of this?
Well, I'll tell you, I think it's interesting. It really is a couple things. First of all, we've left our embassies less protected than we should have. We sort of felt like democracy was going to be a light switch, that it was defined by elections, and it's not. The new boss is no different than the old boss, and that the environment doesn't change. It takes generations to change. And as you remember, the Middle East from before the revolution, before the so-called Arab Spring, was one where the Danish cartoons yielded riots, where we had a teddy bear that was named Muhammad in northern Africa, and one of the countries there that yielded riots. And in Pakistan, you had riots from Afghanistan, the burning of the Quran. So these things, they're always looking for excuses to find a way to attack Americans, blame them for their problems, and not deal with the inner reform and the hard work that needs to happen.
Let's talk a little bit about this film. I hadn't heard anything of it, and I got online and watched it. It's horrendous. I mean, it's very amateurish. Yeah. How did this all come about? Because this is something that here in the United States, it was produced here in the United States. I mean, you can walk down the streets, most people have never heard of this film.
I'm a devout Muslim. I love my faith, and no Muslims I know would be offended by, there's a lot of things written against Islam, Christianity. Part of freedom is having these trashy type things written. There have been many movies that trash Christianity and Jesus, and Christians do not react this way. Muslims don't react this way. The riots that happened were radical Islamist groups that were actually in Libya, fed by and stimulated by some Gaddafi loyalists who really are very upset at what happened, obviously, to Gaddafi and his downfall. So ultimately, this is just a grievance that they're using, and we have to focus, as in the free world, if we want to transform and help the good guys on the ground that want democracy and freedom, if we want those societies to transform, we have to work and say that it's going to be not overnight, and that ultimately this is not about grievances, it's about ideology. And the Islamists are going to find ways to paint America as being anti-Islam, anti-Muslim, and when in fact we're the ones that help them get rid of a secular oppressor, help them have elections and move them forward.
Looking in your crystal ball, is there anything at all that the United States can do, or anyone, and for that matter, to try and diffuse things? Because it seems like this is just kind of a copycat sort of thing, and it keeps spreading.
Well, riots, terrorism acts, other things are, if you address them each by themselves as a symptom, it's a whack-a-mole program, and you're not going to have a cure of the problem. The strategy that we've been lacking in the West and in our Middle East initiatives has been a doctrine. There's been no, what I describe in my book as a liberty doctrine, where they've failed secular fascism, they've failed theocracy in Iran and Saudi Arabia, and now the Islamists have ascended in Egypt and elsewhere. They need a third pathway, which is the separation of mosque and state and the advocacy of individual rights.
Dr. Jasser, thanks so much for coming in. Certainly appreciate it.
Thank you.